Okay, welcome. This is week three of Love Revolution. It's the cusp, right? It's the end of week two and the beginning of week three. It's also the last time that we're gathering, I believe, together on a call. So this is sort of our easing into the final week, which will go fast. If you've stuck with it this far, then time kind of speeds up at the end. And so that's a good thing. So this last week, we've been talking about the intent was transform it. First week, see it, right? See what's kind of take stock of things that are going well, habits, practices, things that are working, and areas where maybe there's an obstacle or something is not working, or maybe it's not working optimally, right? Maybe it's working, but it's kind of like a tire with it's leaking or something, right? It's kind of trudging along. This is good information, actually, because sometimes you think, oh, here's a problem. But actually, once you've identified it, that's actually now becomes good information in order to do something different, right? The first thing you have to do is see what's happening. So now we moved into, now that we see it, what do we want to transform? What would we like to transform? And to me, transformation, if you remember the formula for change was intention plus action equals transformation. So really, week two is kind of on that cusp between intention and action. Week three really about action. Intention in yogic terms is sankalpa. That's the Sanskrit word, Sankalpa. And san, the word san, means a connection with the highest truth, your highest truth, right? What's true for your heart of hearts, san. Um, and kalpa is like an intention or a vow. So if you think of it this way, it's like listening in, what do I really care about? What matters most to me? Who do I want to become? What's my path, which the yogis would call dharma? What's my true path? And then kalpa, right, is living it. And sometimes this is translated as like it's a sacred vow. Or in the words of Carolyn Mace, the famous author and healer, she says sacred contract, right? It's a sacred contract in this case with yourself. So Sankalpa is super powerful way. It's like uh, planting the seeds of transformation. So your intention is when you plant, right? And Sankalpa is only really powerful when you take action, right? So that's the intention plus action equals transformation. It's equal parts. If you think about the action, that's the watering of the seeds, the tilling of the earth, so that change occurs, right? And the change is actually in your everyday habits, your everyday way of being, the way of seeing the world, the things that you do. Some people call that your sadhana. Sadhana is the things that you do on purpose, purposefully, daily, regularly, in order to live your intention. So, intention is just the start, right? You've heard that the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right? That's because if you don't take action, then the intentions just kind of run away and they go the wrong way, right? So now it's action. And Gandhi said, action expresses priorities. Action expresses priorities, right? In yogic terms, the word is karma. That's the action. It's the things that you do. It's actually not what happens to you. That's part of it, right? But you can transform your dharma, that is destiny, fate, the reality that shows up for you by taking little steps, karmic steps every day. So back to the formula. I put it in English, right? Intention plus action equals transformation. And action is really how you show the world and yourself what matters most. There's this idea that we don't have enough time, right? Time is precious and we all have this, but at the same time, we all have the same 24 hours. And how we spend those 24 hours every day shows us and shows the world what we prioritize, right? So the truth is, when you say, I don't have time for something, what you're really saying for the most part is, that's not a priority for me. Whether you say that or not, because your action expresses your priorities, right? I make time for my kids. I don't really have time to do all the bullshit that they want me to do all the time, but I do it anyway, right? Because they're a priority to me. Um, so Sankalpa, intention, isn't really so much about and transforming the world around you isn't so much about forcing something. It's actually about acting from your alignment. So, for example, if you're Sankalpa, if your intention is I live with clarity, then your action may be, what would someone who embodies I live with clarity do on a daily basis? And your answer might be something like, oh, I meditate for 5 minutes and journal for 5 minutes every day before I get out of, before I start my day so that I'm starting with a clear space. Maybe, right? It could be something different for you. Before I step into a meeting, I clarify what it is that I want as an outcome or to create from my heart as I step into that meeting, as I step into, for me, teach yoga, for example. How do I want to show up and how do I want people to feel? Now, I can't control how people feel, but I can set an intention on how I want to show up and what I'm not worried so much about then how it unfolds for everybody because I'm doing my part by just taking the action. Does that make sense? Action with intention. Okay. You have anything to add to that?
Well, I'm curious to see where you're going with this.
Well, what I'm going is I'm summarizing sort of what we're coming up with this week is intention, right? But next week really is all about action. And ultimately, what we're really trying to do here is, well, I've heard yoga expressed this way as a definition, is yoga is the conscious replacing of old habits, older, unhealthier, or less healthy habits intentionally with newer, healthier, more aligned habits, consciously as an intention to transform. And when you do that, right, when you set the intention, so you plant the seeds, then you take action. That's watering the seeds. And then you change your habits, right? And that's part of the watering of the seeds. What happens is your reality starts to change because it responds to your new way of being. Does that make sense? You're
Hmm.
shaping, Albina calls it shaping your destiny, right? It's not just thoughts. Thoughts are a big part of it, and action is critical. So it's sort of it's sort of taking a step back before we take a step forward. Lisa has a question. Do you want to answer that now, or you see
I
that?
just wanted to add that
Hmm.
we are go offering a theme in our classes at Unwind that goes
Hmm.
through the yamas and niyamas. And right now we're introducing the the niyama of Sacha, which is purity and clarity, which
Hmm.
aligns perfectly with what you're discussing with actions and intentions, because the niyamas are really the observance of self versus the yamas versus how you observe the environment outside of yourself. So it was really just more a commentary of how this aligns of what we're doing at the
Perfect.
studio.
Perfect. Yeah. And this, even though I tend to write in more plain English, this is all coming from yoga philosophy. the yoga philosophy is informing it because yoga philosophy has been around for 8,000 years and has been proven to be effective, right? That's why it's still here. That's why even just a drop of it, even when we don't know what we're doing, which most of us don't, including myself, right? We only know a little bit of it. Even a little bit of it is so powerful that it transforms us from the inside out. So thank you for that.
Can I chime in?
Please.
So Roger, this is how our duo works. Roger likes like philosophy and like poetry and all these things are like take so much mental calories for me. I like practical stuff. So let me like explain to you. So you heard the philosophy of it, right? It's thousands of years old. Let me make it like real practical to you. So what I see, I mean, I will speak from my own experience. I see like two extremes. On one extreme, sometimes we have really great intentions. We intend to do something. Like new at the beginning of the year, a lot of us make like these big goals. And by like February 15th, around this time, you kind of like, oh, what? You forget all about it, right? Like for this program, we had 200 people sign up, and right now we have 19. Like people have great intentions, and a lot of times they just don't take the massive actions in order to um, manifest that intention into reality. So that's one extreme. The other extreme that I see sometimes, and this is probably what I can relate to, sometimes I take a lot of massive action. I take action. I'm busy. I'm like hustling. I'm working all day. I'm getting stuff done. But sometimes I forget, like I get lost in the trees instead of seeing the entire forest, right? So I forget what the intention was to begin with. Can anybody relate? Like in the business of your everyday life, you kind of forget why you even started the whole thing. So what I'm hearing in this, it's both, right? It's intention and action at the same time. So what I do in the beginning of the year, usually do a vision meditation to envision a big picture. And then every day before I even get out of bed, for just a couple of minutes, I envision my day unfolding the way in the best possible scenario, better than I can ever imagine. And then I kind of play that movie of success, of ease, of fun, of joy in my head before I get out of bed. And then the last part is like I surrender it to the divine. I'm like, I'd love it to be this way. And if it can be even better, bring it on, God. Something like that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And if you look in the book for if you've gotten that far in week two, it talks about starting with why. Simon Sinek is a famous book, Start with Why, because that's intention. And when you start with a clear intention, then the rest can unfold. You know why you're taking certain steps. It not only reinforces it, but it will also direct the steps that you take. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. My good friend, who's also a lawyer, I'm a lawyer, also a lawyer. This happened a long time ago, but he was called me and he was on the verge of tears and he was saying, I'm really stressed out. Roxy, perhaps you can relate. This job is killing me. I'm very unhappy. He owned his own law firm, by the way, and he's like, I'm just miserable and I have no time for myself and I feel crushed basically by the weight of all of this, you know. And from the outside, like he looked very successful, right? He had a beautiful wife and wonderful family and a successful law firm, and he's making lots of money and he has a nice house and he's a member of the country club and blah, 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 right? So, and unhappy. And I said, could you do maybe 30% less work and then, still do okay financially? And he said, actually, I could do a third total of the work and still be making more money than I'll ever need. And I said, so why are you working so hard? And he said, I don't know. And that was like just heartbreaking, right? Because here he is making himself miserable, suffering greatly, borderline suicidal. And he didn't even know why he was doing it. And this is why it's important to know why you're doing something, right? And he's not doing that anymore. He's like backed way off, moved across the country, start reprioritizing things. So start with that why. And it doesn't have to be always like Albina said, it could be on a daily basis. Sure, there's a big vision that you want to create. That's part of the fun. And it can be very situational intentionality. I'm about to go have dinner with my family. How do I want that to go? How do I want to show up for my family? I just called my mom before this, and before I spoke with her, I thought, well, how do I want to show up for my mom? Because sometimes I'm not even listening. Frankly, she's talking and she'll talk about everything and go off on tangents. But I said I want to be there and listening and like really loving and in my heart space. And for the most part, I succeeded. It was different call than maybe we would have on a normal basis. So all that to say, the intention is great and you need to take action, right? So here's one little thing that I want to introduce to you. This is our little share. Last time we talked about 99% equals zero. It's something that's in the book. It's something that we try to put into our daily lives and certainly into our business and in our relationship and all of these things. And this is called beauty reports. So, beauty reports is something that our teacher taught us. Our teacher is Anna Forrest. And what beauty reports are, you talked about, Albina said, um, I kind of like to come from like the poetic point of view, talk about the philosophy. And I feel like beauty reports is in a way shifting the way that you look at the world. Like taking a poet's or an artist's view of the art and beauty of our daily lives, right? Because you could say, well, nothing particularly beautiful happened today. And if you just shift your lens a little bit, there's beautiful things happening all the time in our lives, and sometimes we just miss them because we're not in the looking, right? We're in the doing. And so beauty reports can be something really small, really subtle, like, when my daughter hugged me, my teenage daughter, who doesn't, that happens less and less as you get older, right? Hugged me. I really breathed that in, and felt that hug and enjoyed it and savored it. Um, or we had a laugh on the way back from, from her practice and like remembering that and how good it felt to just be free of all the parent kid stuff, right? And all that, all the potential conflict there. And another one of our teachers used to always say, it was Ann Hyde used to always say, in this stuff, in this work, small is huge. Small is huge. The micro is the macro. That little hug is everything. You appreciating that hug is how you fall in love with your life, right? So small is huge. Do you want to add something? Because I know you've done this for a long time too.
First of all, I'll do a different
I
meditation.
got that.
Sorry.
They don't know
Change
the
my
other one.
mind along the way. Um, it's part of our brain. The way our brain is wired, in order for us to survive, we have to, in a way, kind of look for what's wrong, right? To keep ourselves safe, we have to like almost like look for everything that can go wrong so that we can, if you're a kid and you put your hand on a hot stove once, right, and you burn your hand, you're not going to do that again because it hurt, right? So as we go through our lives, our brain is wired to look for danger, to look for what is wrong. So that happens automatically. Now, looking for beauty is rewiring of your brain. Um, it doesn't, I mean, maybe for some very lucky of us, maybe like if you're eternal optimist, you wake up and you already see life as glass half full. But for the vast majority of people, learning to see beauty in everything around you is rewiring of your old habitual patterns of being. You're looking for beauty. And at least in the beginning, it takes some practice. Another way of saying it is we have a highway to stress, worry, and fear in our brain, and we have a dirt road to happiness, joy, and pleasure. So going into stress mode, worry, anxiety is automatic. It's like we can do that really easily, but looking for beauty is a like a dirt road. It's not that easy, not always.
Yeah, so this is a practice of cultivating wonder, learning to see the beautiful things in your life as a practice so that your brain then switches on and is seeing it more often, right? You tend to see what you're looking for, right? Um, I don't know if it was Anais Nin or someone else that said, we don't see the world
Mhm.
as it is. We see the world as we are.
It's in your book. I just read it
Yeah, and
earlier
so when we
today.
see the world as we are, that means in order to see the world as beauty, that means we have to cultivate the ability to see it, cultivating wonder and being willing to be astonished by the simple things, by the everyday things. Some will be big, sure, but those are rarer, right? Those big, like explosive aha moments, the little moments, the ones that the poets pay attention to, those are actually the things that make up our lives. And so right now, we're going to do a little exercise where you're going to get a few minutes. And what I'd like for you to do is write 1 to 3 little beauty reports in the next 3 minutes that happened today, or you can go for like a week if you need the whole week. Three little, maybe things that you might not have noticed if you weren't looking that were beautiful moments. And then you can say, and then what did I like, how did that shift me internally when I pay attention? That little moment, what can be the impact? So 1 to 3 little moments and their impact. And you've got about 3 or 4 minutes. We'll play a little music if we can, and then you can get out your journal. If you don't have a journal handy, you can write in your phone the notes. Um,
Give us an
and you can
example.
call it beauty reports. Yeah, and just so an example, I gave you one earlier, right? Was um, my daughter and I were like laughing on the way home from her workout this morning about something. And, it was just a feel good moment that doesn't happen all the time. A lot of times we're in conflict, right? It's like, hurry up. I know, and then in that moment, we were just free of all that. We were just two people laughing, and what I realized is that it doesn't have to be heavy, right? I don't have to like make her do anything or change her in any way. I mean, if I want to extrapolate out, but actually just the moment itself, the beauty of it is enough. Okay. So go ahead and start writing. We'll tell you when to stop here in a minute. So instead of doing the breakout rooms, because apparently that was a technical issue last time, I think we'll just allow anybody who wants to put it open to anybody who wants to share a beauty report with us, just one. Like you could just unmute yourself and tell us, and we have time for 3 or 4.
I have Laurie.
Laurie, yeah, where'd you go?
So, and this may sound like really silly, but I was in my class this morning and there was, I don't know, the sunrise was coming in just so, and I was sweating and I was glistening. It was the first time I remember um, I had gone to an exercise class and this instructor had said, I want to learn to bathe in my sweat. And I remember thinking, oh, that sounds so terrible because sweat's so gross and all the things. And so I was in my class this morning and the sunrise was coming in and I felt really strong. And I'm glistening in this sweat and I was so proud of it. And so that was my happy shiny moment this morning was sweating and bathing in it and loving it.
I love that. Yeah, I mean it's as simple as that. It doesn't have to be some big, I mean, that's a magical moment, right? It's in a way our lives are made up of these small little moments, and that's the beauty and the mystery of like what I call the art and beauty of our everyday life. That if we're not careful, we'll miss it, right? And so Beauty Reports helps us remember it, savor it, enjoy it.
I don't know why it's making me want to cry, Larry. Um, it's like, you know what I think is like, it's like luxuriating in God's love, right? It's like maybe the divine sees us that way all the time. We just don't notice always. And like really taking it in and breathing it in. I just like feel kind of emotional about it. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't know if we're saying your name correctly. Laurie? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have time for a couple more. Let's see. Let's look in gallery view if anybody. You can just unmute yourself. You don't have to put your hand up. You could just unmute and start talking if you wanted to.
I had an appointment at 8:30 in the morning for a guy that was putting in some lights in the backyard.
Yeah.
And my whole day was so full that I automatically put it on like, oh, I know he's going to be late. And blah, blah, blah. He was there right on the time, and he was so courteous and got everything done. And he wouldn't accept a tip, which is rare. And I wrote that down, and because it said in one of our class books to do that. And I wrote that down as one of my beauty points because it was just so pleasant. And then I got my whole day done, and I thought, thank you, Anthony.
That's
That's
awesome.
That.
It is those little, those little touches, really. Um, what I get from that is like such a human, right now in the world, like there's so much disconnection. Everybody's so busy and we're all on our devices and sometimes we can just bump up against each other very transactionally, but in your case, like today, when it happens a different way, it kind of reminds us who we are.
I was already sitting, he's going to be late. He was on time. It was actually 2 minutes early.
My new mantra lately is my world is always taking care of me. My world is always taking care of me. And it's actually my business partner who I love so much. But she always says, I always expect the worst case scenario, she says. Because, when something better happens, then it's a nice surprise. And I just keep my mouth shut. But how I really feel on the inside is I always expect a miracle. Right? I always expect a miracle. I expect something this or even better. And because I always expect a miracle, I swear miracles happen to me all the time. What is that, Wayne Dyer? When you change the way you look at the world, uh, how does it go? Change the way you look at the world and what you look at changes or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, yeah. Yeah, it's like that. Expecting a miracle. I'm so happy that it happened today, John.
Thanks, Joanne. I saw a hand up too with Erica and let's see. One second. Where'd they go? Norman, Erica.
Norman,
Yeah.
Erica.
If you want to unmute, hit your unmute button there.
Hear you
There you
there.
go.
So good evening. We're joining you from Albuquerque, New Mexico this evening, and we're members of the Unwind Studio with Ashley. And one of our beauty moments wasn't necessarily today, but it was part of our journey with getting started with yoga, which started in January. It was recommended after a PT session. The gentleman that was working on me said, you really need to check out this studio. They get it, they get you, they get the bigger picture. And he said, that's all I'm going to say. You need to figure out the rest for yourself. So I had called Ashley from the parking lot. She said, stop what you're doing and come in right now. And we did. And we took the
Wow.
class. And from right there, Janet, who's also on this call, was so welcoming to both of us that it was just life-changing. Norm and I are not traditional yoga people. We've had to learn the needs to lean into the concepts and the words, and it's pretty incredible to be at this point. So that is our beauty moment every day, including our couples activity that we did last Saturday. We couldn't walk for the rest of the week, but it was worth it, including our being able to fly and our boat
Oh,
pose.
nice.
We pretty much
This
had to
is
crawl
partner
around the
yoga.
house for the rest of
Yeah.
the day, but we made it, and that was all due to Ashley. So we're very, very grateful.
Ashley, I hope you're breathing it in. Let me put her high spotlight, Ashley, for everybody.
Hey,
I hope you're breathing it in, this beauty report for you.
this should
You
be
know,
a
it's
beauty.
it's hard to hear. I'm so grateful that that they feel what I feel for them. That they're feeling what I feel. So it's really very touching. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh,
let this be your beauty report, right? Yeah.
that's
And I
beautiful.
will say from having done, you know, run yoga studios for a long time, uh, there's a lot that people don't see going on in the background. It's not all of it's very glamorous, but moments like this
Mhm.
are what remind us what our why is and why we keep showing up. Sometimes when it's like, why am I doing this? Literally, right? Like when you're there in the middle of the night, and anybody who runs their own business or, you know, but it's what's really great about that as a path is that, as the yoga studio owner is that actually you do get to see the impact on people, right? Like they come in frazzled and stressed and they walk out usually at least a little bit lighter. And that's really amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And may it continue. The true traditional yogis, the only ones that are the true traditional yogis are the the sadhus in India that smear themselves in ash to intentionally make themselves ugly, and they have dreadlocks, and they live with nothing. And so none of us are there, right? And I don't want to be, maybe in the next lifetime, but in this lifetime, we're householders is the yogic term. We have families and we have houses and we have jobs and we can still be yogis, if we want to. So thank you for sharing, and thank you, Ashley, for bringing so many people to this work over and over. I appreciate you. We have time, I think, for one more, and then
We'll do meditation.
we'll do a meditation, and then we'll wrap up. Yeah. So is there one more that's kind of like, well, maybe I want to, or I'm not sure, or like I'm kind of on the edge of my seat?
Okay, I have one, just Aldo.
Hey,
Aldo.
Yay. My
Aldo, we know
video.
from way back.
Hi guys. Yeah,
If it
mine.
wasn't for Aldo, there wouldn't be Roger and
None of
Albina.
us would be sitting here.
No.
We
Oh,
met at
that's
his
so cute.
restaurant.
Yeah, that's right. God, what a beautiful history. Mine is an ongoing one that I have this amazing little dog, and it's got to be taken out. She needs to go out as often. And I used to kind of begrudgingly take her out because it's. And I turned it in, I think about a week ago, I just turned it into like an outing for her. And I said, it's an outing for you too, include me, for myself. And now we go on walks. And like the other day, I just said, I'm just going to let her walk until she wants to go back. And, it was like 30 minutes and she was back home and she wanted to go back. And that shift in perspective has made it so enjoyable. And for me, I get away from my desk. I'm staring at a computer screen or on the phone, and it's a legitimate break, and it feels great. I know. Shh, she's over
No,
here
let's see
barking.
your dog that you're talking about.
Leela, come here.
Hey, what's her name?
Leela,
Leela, Divine Play
oh,
in
what you doing?
Sanskrit.
What you doing? Anyway, thank you guys. And
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
what you've just described is you have a date with your dog.
yeah,
Nature
yeah,
date.
yeah,
That's amazing, Aldo.
yeah.
The shift to me is the beauty. That's the beauty report, is that I was able to shift this thing that I saw as a burden into something I can be grateful for or enjoy, right? Like that's how I felt when you were saying that. I was reminded of like, our daughter's at an age where she can't quite drive, but she just wants to go, go, go. And I used to joke I was a teenage Uber, and there was no gratitude coming back at me at all. And I would get grumpy about it. And then Albina thankfully helped me shift. Like, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to drive my kid around. I don't know how much longer I'm going to get to do that. And when I shifted that, now suddenly I was in a good mood about it. And nothing changed other than my attitude. And that is beautiful, that we can take the thing that we were burdened by and shift it into grace, right? You always say, oh, all things with grace, right?
Mm.
And
Grace in all things.
grace in all things. And that's, to me, that's the beauty. That's
That
the
is-
beauty report, is your ability to shift.
Thank you,
And your cute
Aldo.
little dog, obviously. I
Yeah.
saw Lisa's hand go up. So Lisa, did you want to say one more thing?
Girl, I have so many things. I think most of the
one.
people at Unwind know that I like to talk. I'm an instructor and a student at Unwind, and I've been out with an injury. And this morning I got up at 4, and there is something magical about the hour of 4 a.m. For for me and for many. But the light was coming through all of the windows, and there's a silence there where I could sit with my coffee and get ready to go to the studio. And I was taking over a class with students that I hadn't practiced with, and some I hadn't seen, since I had to step away. And their embrace at 5:30 in the morning was everything. It was everything. And how loving they were. It was everything. And then I got to come home and greet my grandson, who is 6 months old. When I walk through the door, he's squealing when he sees me. And he's so excited. And the giggles, you could bottle them. I understand it. I wish I could bottle it. I wish I could share it with everybody. I know it. I live it. And I took action in the moment. I was just entirely present. It was a beautiful day.
That's amazing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Also speaking about injuries, um, our teacher used to always say that injuries are our greatest teachers, because they show us like where we need to take care of ourselves. They force us to slow down. There's a lesson in them usually if we're willing to look for it. And so, that's also lots of space around that for to find beauty, even in those things, right? That seem like setbacks or obstacles. Um, there's sort of a mantra in yoga that the obstacle is the path. The thing that's standing in the way is actually the way, because by working with an obstacle, you evolve, you grow, you have to, right? Or you get stopped. And since we're not ever stopping, we find a way. We incorporate it, we go around it, we go through it, we get over it, we learn from it, we grow. Okay, so with that, we're gonna pause all the shares, and Albina's gonna lead us through meditation for a few minutes. So
Let's meditate. Make yourself comfortable. And close your eyes and exhale all the breath out of your lungs. Take a deep breath in, fill up your belly with breath. Exhale and relax. Relax your shoulders, relax your abdomen, relax the very bottom of your pelvis. Take another juicy, delightful breath all the way down into your heart. Exhale and feel for relaxing your heart. So connecting to your heart's guidance, your heart's intuition, your heart's truth. Let your heart guide you through this part of the meditation. Breathe deeply and recall a really happy moment from your life. It can be something that happened a long time ago, or it can be something that happened just this morning, a happy moment from your life. And once you have that moment, step into your own body in that moment in time and see what you saw then. Hear what you heard then. Smell, taste, feel what you felt then. So instead of thinking of that moment, experience that moment here and now, a happy moment from your life. And take a deep breath in and breathe in the magic of that moment. Giving yourself a gift of reliving the joy of that moment. And now recall a moment from your life when you were laughing really hard. You were laughing so hard that your face hurt. And as soon as that moment comes to you, step into that moment in time, in your own body, in that moment in time, and see who you were with, feel what you felt then. Breathe deeply. A moment from your life when you were laughing so hard, just pure joy, pure delight. Your whole face was hurting because you were laughing so hard, smiling so much. And give yourself a gift of reliving the joy of that moment, that magic moment. And now think of a moment of a coincidence, a lucky break. Something unexpected happened, something good. You didn't expect it to happen, but it just happened. A lucky moment, a moment of synchronicity. Maybe you were on your way to meet your friends for brunch and you met the love of your life. Something like that. You didn't have to do anything, it just happened. And step into your own body in that moment in time, a moment of a lucky break, a moment of synchronicity, a blessing. And see what you saw then in that moment. And feel what you felt then. And breathe deeply right now, breathing in the blessing, the magic of that moment. A moment of synchronicity, a blessing. God's grace and favor. And now relax your body even more. Breathe deeply and reach out with your right hand as though you're reaching for another joyful moment from your life. And as soon as you have another moment of joy and laughter, take that moment with your right hand and bring it to your heart. And when your hand touches your heart, you can say quietly, yes. and reach out with your left hand and grab another happy moment, a moment of synchronicity, blessing, ease. And as soon as you have that moment, bring it into your heart. And as soon as you touch your heart, just say yes. And now, as quickly as you can, reaching with your right and left hand, reaching for those magic moments from your life, happy moments, the moment when you were proud of yourself or others. Grab those moments and bring them to your heart. Touch your heart, and internally you can say yes, yes, yes. Go as quickly as you can, recalling those happy moments from your life, those moments of magic, and bringing them to your heart as quickly as you can, flooding yourself with feel-good emotions. Give yourself a gift of reliving the magic of those moments of your life. And breathe deeply. Let your heart be flooded with joy, gratitude, pleasure, love, feeling so blessed, feeling guided, feeling supported. Breathe deeply into your heart and receive the blessing. Receive grace and favor because you are always guided. You are always being blessed. You're so deeply loved. Like Larry said, you're always being bathed in divine love and guidance. Just open yourself up and see the beauty of that magic. Breathe it in into your heart. And internally you can say, thank you. I love you. Thank you. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Ooh, my heart feels like all warm and fuzzy and
Yeah. Ashley, did you want to say something? Because we're actually now open to like logistics, Q&A, anything you want to share. You have to unmute yourself.
I don't know how I raised my hand. Sorry. It was a
well,
mistake.
there are no mistakes, just
Fat fingers.
yeah, if y'all have any questions, this your journey doesn't end just because this is the last meeting. I really encourage you to lean in this last week. It could be you can double down. 99% equals zero, like we talked about, so that you have an opportunity to really carry this on into everyday life. So we put some practices in there. I put some things to do going forward. One of them is to look back through your journal and see all the epiphanies and the things that you learned about yourself, and remind yourself of what it is that you uncovered, what your intentions are, what your sankalpa is, what things you'd like to add. I put in some meditations called the Brahma Viharas at the end of the book. Those are great to do. They're kind of like, I think of them as like antidotes to heart states, and loving kindness sort of being the basis of that. So look at those. There's also lots of we have meditations.
I will send an email with a direct link
Yeah,
for
we have
loving kindness.
yeah, we have meditations with loving kindness. Albina has loads of meditations that you can do. Keep getting on the mat with your studios where you can. If you're not near a studio, or have access to one very easily, certainly you can do it online through our portal that Albina will also send you. And stay in touch,
Roger, I just have one little note. Is it
please.
on the big message that Alvina sent to all of us about when what was going to happen. It definitely has that there's a Zoom meeting on 225.
Yeah, I messed up. We can have a bonus meeting. At
Should
the
we?
end of next week, we can have a little
I'm here
celebration.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do what we actually wanted to offer today was a vision meditation, but it needs a little bit more setup. So maybe
Uh-huh.
next Thursday, we'll do a little extra meeting with for anybody who wants to join, and
Is-
I'll talk you through the vision meditation because it obviously wants to come through. A
Yes.
vision meditation is when you envision your chosen future. And there is a lot of mysticism, magic, and power to your vision meditation. I get you into a state and you open up to receive the vision. It comes from the source. It's mind blowing. I mean, our whole life we've been doing vision and visioning, and it's always even better than anything that we envisioned during that process. So let's do that next Thursday. I
Okay.
Yeah.
somehow messed up. I know.
No, again,
No.
there's like what's the guy's name that's the Bob Ross. There's no accidents, just happy little right, like no mistakes, just happy little accidents that
Yeah.
become clouds or trees.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so
And then we have celebration in your local studios. I know Ashley is offering an in-person celebration. Rochelle. So
Yoga Together, that's right.
at Yoga Together in Houston. So yeah.
So next week will be sort of a little celebration and a little bonus. So we would love to see you. Have a wonderful third and final week of this program. And yeah, lean into it and let us know how it's going. We're easy to find on social media, and you can email us. So take care. Share your beauty reports with others with us. I'd love to get those too. So feel free and share them on your social media or with each other.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.